Welcome, my friends, to the show that never ends. And today we weren't going to bother doing the show. That doesn't sound very enthusiastic, does it? It's been my birthday. I was 60, and Kieran has been up here all weekend, and we've been out the whole weekend. Missed the Wycombe game, missed all the games except for one. What was the score of that game, Kieran?
It was only 7-0, mate. Only
7-0, was it? Right, okay. I wasn't sure because I might have missed a couple of goals. I wasn't sure. We're going to discuss that game. We will do it just very quickly. Anything to say about the Wycombe game? I didn't see. You didn't see. We saw 2 minutes of highlights and it was a draw 1-1.
Yeah, I mean, you can only go off what chances they show on the highlights, but our goal looked pretty good, nice and clean, that kind of thing. Had a couple more chances that you would have liked to have seen either McCleary's or Vokes's put away. Ideally, you'd need someone to put one of them away. If it's 2-0, it looks like a very long way back for Exeter. They score a bit of a crappy goal, which comes off the goalkeeper. You draw 1-1. It didn't look horrendous, but it does need to be one of those games that you do win. And especially for Bloomfield at the beginning, it did need to be a win, and it wasn't. It's not the end of the world, but it's not ideal.
Well, Colchester lost. QPR lost. Wycombe got a point. So far, those three teams haven't gained.
QPR
don't look like they gained much.
QPR lost to Rotherham as well, who were near the bottom, so that's bad in that sense as well.
So, how many games do you reckon Ainsworth's got before he gets the sack? 10?
He has to. I mean, if he loses like 5-6 in a row, then is that not it?
And wasn't that a game to win?
Yeah, it was. Had to be, didn't it? I mean, I know it's away from home, but like, got to turn up with something, didn't you?
Yeah, I think I do think, and there was a thing that came out this week. I was gonna have a look at it, but we really haven't got long. We've really only got 10 minutes, everybody, because it's been one of those weekends, Shakespeare plays and all that, Kieran?
Sitting about.
Restaurants and lots of cake and things. So I was going to sort of discuss how long he's got a QPR, because QPR have produced all their figures this week and how much they're losing every week, and it was thousands. I can't remember how many thousands per week.
A lot of thousands.
Was it hundreds of thousands, wasn't it? So he ain't gonna have any money to spend, that is for sure. But I was gonna explain actually what's going on at QPR, but I'll possibly add that next week. The other thing I want to add next week was I want to look at red cards and the amount of time teams get out of red cards. I'll explain all that next week. Anyway, so Wycombe, not very good, really. Got to do it next week at Burton. Surely.
Have to.
Yeah, well, I think we've kissed it goodbye anyway, but, whatever. And Ainsworth has got to do it fairly quickly. Otherwise, we could swap back, couldn't we?
I'm sure people would be quite happy with that.
Yeah, although what we read about the Colchester fan, he don't. Thank God we got rid of him, was the comment, I believe. Yeah. So I don't think we can pass Bloomfield back. I don't think they want him. Next, before we talk about Liverpool, we will quickly do what our scores from last week, okay? I've got them all here so we can whip through this. We started with the Manchester City Newcastle. Let me just find them. And surely you didn't.
Let's quickly whip through these, yeah.
Yeah, I just find it difficult to put. You said 2-1 to Newcastle.
Did I?
Yeah.
No, I would have done.
You get no points. I said 2-0 to Manchester City, and it was 2-0.
Congratulations.
I get 3 points. Next game was Arsenal 3, Bournemouth 2. You put 4-0. I put 2-0 to Arsenal. We both get a point. Well, that was a game and a half. Arsenal believe they're going to win it, which is why they keep scoring in the last ridiculous minutes. 97th minute, was it? They got their winner. Something like that. They know they're going to win it, don't they? Aston Villa 1, Crystal Palace 0. You put Crystal Palace winning, and I put a draw, so neither of us get a point with that one. Now, Aston Villa 1. Oh, no, we did that. Brighton 4, West Ham 0. You put Brighton to win, you get a point. You put 2-1. I put 0-2, so I get no points. You got Chelsea 1, Leeds 1. You put a Leeds win on 1-0, so you get no points. And I put exactly the same, funnily enough. So I don't get a point. Again, we're doing brilliant here, except that Wolves 1, Tottenham 0. You put 1-1, so you get no points. I put 1-0 to Wolves. I get 3 points.
I think I've lost this week by quite a distance.
This is making it clear I know more about football than you do.
Apparently so.
Okay. Southampton 1, Leicester 0. You put Leicester winning, so you put 3-0 to Leicester. And I put 0-0, so neither of us get a point. And then last two was Nottingham Forest 2, Everton 2. You put 2-2, so you get 3 points. And I put 1-0 to Nottingham Forest. I don't get any points. And then the last game was Liverpool 7. Yes, Liverpool 7, Manchester United 0. You put 2-0 to Liverpool, so you get 1 point. And I put 2-1 to Liverpool. I get 1 point. We could, but we're not going to add the Wycombe score because you said Wycombe would win 2-0. I put it was going to be 1-1.
No, we won't bother adding it. I mean, we need to make it entertaining, don't we?
So I got Wycombe's score right. Hey, Paul, I got Wycombe's score right.
Because you're pessimistic. I don't think Wycombe are ever going to win again.
That's right. But so this week you got 1, 2, 3. You got 6 points, and I got 8.
Oh, that wasn't too bad then.
No, you got 1 completely correct, and I got 2 completely correct. Anyway, that's all that. We could predict next week's, but we'll give that a miss this week because we really are trying to rush this one. And this is now our phone call we would have had if we weren't recording. So, what do you reckon to Liverpool then? Bit of a shock, wasn't it?
It's just, I mean, I was obviously sat in the car for half of it.
I watched all of it.
It got to the 60th minute and it was 3-0, and I was kind of like, we'll probably stop there in terms of scoring goals, just try to keep United out for the rest of it. Get home and I catch most of the goals. I see the next 4. And
I mean, that's just, was it 1930, wasn't it? Something like that. Since
it's United,
they lost 7-0.
It's United's joint biggest loss ever.
It's a shame they get 8, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
I was disappointed they didn't get 8.
Well, we kept on screaming for we want 6, we want 7, and we kept on getting them. And it was like, at what point is this going to stop? It stopped at the point where the fan came on the pitch and decided to slide tackle 2 of our players.
Yeah, was that a Liverpool fan?
Yeah.
Right.
And Klopp was
not happy boy, was he? He was not a happy bunny.
Well, because Robertson actually looked somewhat injured from it.
It did. I mean, it had to be a Liverpool fan because all the United fans, from the ones over the age of 80, had left.
Yeah.
And the ones that were 80 were waiting for the wheelchair pushers.
I mean, they're not going to run all the way down the other end, you'd hope, would you? But it was just, we just kept going and we just kept, like, Nunez's second header was just, like, so pinpoint in the corner. Gakpo's goals, Salah's finish, for some bizarre reason, was unbelievably good. Firmino scoring is very nice because of obviously him announcing he's leaving this week. That was kind of a nice end to it. We were just unbelievable.
Salah got the record. So
Salah
got
got his
the record
records.
for highest amount of goals. Was it 140?
And 129
129.
most Premier League goals to Liverpool, and we just kept going. We were just incredible. United just looked unbelievably flat, and they didn't look like they were ever going to score against a Liverpool defence that has been suspect for a long time this season. Although in saying that, that's 5 clean sheets in a row now for Liverpool. Where's that come from? How have we done that?
But see, now I saw some figures that suggested the Liverpool team now is not a lot different from the Liverpool team last year. The only difference is that they were playing above their XG, and this season they're playing below. So more teams are scoring when they shouldn't this year, and Liverpool aren't scoring. And last year, Liverpool was scoring above what they were expected to score. So, in fact, it's roughly the same. But would you agree with that? Because I wouldn't. I thought that isn't quite.
It doesn't feel quite right. I mean, last season we did feel like we were scoring goals for a reason. And I mean, Nunez has missed quite a few this season. Salah hasn't scored as many as he would have thought he might have done. But in saying that, he's still got 22 goals this year now, Salah. And it's like...
Yeah, I know. With your mother said to me, well, he takes his shirt off, get booked, and he's reached that sort of the highest amount. And your mum said, but he hasn't been scoring many goals this year.
It's like, no.
Well, actually, he has really, hasn't he? I mean, where is he in the goal scoring record this season? Is he?
I'm not
must
sure.
Be second, isn't he?
No, it's because he scored a lot in the Champions League. I don't think he's actually that high. Because Firmino was our top. He's 5th. Salah's 5th.
5th, is he? Right.
But then, I mean, because you compare it all to Haaland's, don't you? Salah's on 11 goals. Haaland's on 27.
Right.
But
okay, so he scored half of his in other competitions, Salah.
Yeah, and he still scored, more than the majority. He's only just behind Rashford, who's having the best season of his life.
Not to say he didn't.
No. In actual facts, it's very, very even.
Do you think the problem that they had, United, was they lack any width, don't they? I've mentioned this before. They go straight down the middle. They like to see Rashford in the middle, but that's because that's all they do, go down the middle. If Rashford plays on the left, they go down on the left. If he plays in the middle, they go direct, straight down the middle. But they don't have anything else.
Well, they kept mentioning it on the commentary I was watching it on, was why have they not put Rashford on or Garnacho or someone on the left and targeted taking on Trent? Because that is what teams do. And Klopp put in Henderson to kind of protect him a bit more, didn't he, today?
Yeah.
And evidently that's kind of worked. But he also did have just Rashford up top. And up against Van Dijk and Konate, he's going to get bullied and he's not going to be able to get through so easily. And they didn't target our fullbacks, who obviously in these type of games would bomb up and down. So I think it was a lack of adaptability from Ten Hag in a little bit.
That's what I thought. He didn't change the game to suit who they were playing.
No,
and he played the same standard down the centre. You have to say Trent Alexander-Arnold and Buddy Boy on the other side, Mr. Scotsman. I mean, they had the field, didn't they?
Yeah, they could do what they wanted. And they had Weghorst as that kind of cam in the middle, and Fabinho today was more in the match up for him. Like there was, Ten Hag needs to adapt it a little bit, as Klopp did for the United team, and he didn't. And that showed a little bit of a lack of management. Obviously, from the third goal onwards, it's not so much his fault and is the fault of the players on the pitch, because they just completely gave up. Fernandez is an absolute joke in terms of his play acting and all that sort of thing.
I will bring him up in a minute. When we finish with the football, we're going to talk about puppets and disgusting behaviour.
I heard there was a few more earlier on that I didn't get to see because obviously I was just following on Twitter. But I saw a couple of them and it was just awful. But yeah, Núñez getting a couple, Gakpo getting a couple of actually really good goals is a helpful thing because you can score tap-ins, of course, but scoring actually really, really nice goals does make a difference. And all the goals were brilliant, potentially apart from maybe Salah's second was a bit scuffly. But all of them were just very, very good goals, which is really nice to see. So
I just said to your mum, sat there, I just said, Gakpo, don't like him. I don't think he's very good.
Yeah.
Got that wrong, didn't I? He had a brilliant game.
Well, I mean, we've both said it. I mean, I'm not going to say I haven't said it. Like, he hasn't shown too much so far. Why it suddenly sprung today, I don't know. Maybe it's like the fact you're playing United and you've got to, flex your muscle a bit. But he was brilliant. Núñez's finishing today was very, very good.
What was wrong with Rashford today?
Difficult to tell because I could only get the last half an hour in and he barely got a chance.
He hadn't got a chance the whole game. Was it nobody gave him a ball? Or was it... Where did he go? That's what I don't understand. You see,
it was never
Weghorst in front of him. He was supposed to, wasn't he, be playing behind him? And shouldn't he be picking the balls up round there? I mean, did he make a tackle? I don't think he... Well, as you see, Salah is getting his foot in there. Salah's winning balls back. Salah's chasing. Rashford didn't. Rashford wasn't in the game.
It was the best I've seen Salah play in a heck of a long time. Like, just general skill and tracking back and picking out the right pass. He was so, so good. If he could do that every week, then blimey.
You see, I think anybody up front who hardly touches the ball, unless they've been told to stand in the penalty box, they've got no excuse for not touching the ball because they should be going for it. They shouldn't be waiting for it to arrive at their feet. And I'm trying to think, the only person I can think of, well, there's a couple that don't, and that's mainly to age. And the only other one are people like Haaland, but he's not on the football pitch to get the ball. He's on there to tap it in. But Rashford isn't on there to tap the ball in the net. That isn't the type of player he is. He's there to run at. That means he has to be further back and he has to get the ball. He can't just expect it to arrive. And I just wondered where he was today. Funny thing was, were any of those 7 goals Mr. Goalkeeper's fault? Because I didn't think so. And that makes a change. For a team to lose something like that, a big amount, and you can't blame the goalkeeper, seems very strange.
There weren't any explicit, goalkeeping errors, were there?
Except by Liverpool goalkeeper, in fact.
Yeah. I think 1 or 2 at the end, on another day, he could well have saved. It kind of went through him. But all the other goals, absolutely not. Nothing he could do.
Unless you've got anything else, we will finish with the, I think, disgusting behaviour of footballers. Now, I'm not just going to pick out Manchester United because they've all got them. I mean, the other dirty player on that pitch, but he didn't have to be dirty or anything today because they won 7-0. And that's your Scotsman fullback Robertson. I mean, he sort of does the same. But Fernandez, the going down, holding his head when in fact he'd been touched on the chest, the cheated. He's supposed to be the bloody captain on that football pitch. He's supposed to be fighting. Doesn't matter whether you're 3-0 down. Arsenal are winning when they're 2-0 down. When United were 2-0 down, you didn't see a captain on the football pitch.
No.
They hadn't lost the game at 2-0 down. They've got the whole half to go for. Even 3-0 down you can still score 3 goals. I mean, if a team scores 3 goals in 15 minutes, why can't you? And I don't understand. I mean, they packed their bags and went home, didn't they?
Yeah, completely. Yeah. There's one where Vucecic run past him and he just completely stops and just shouts his left back to go run after him instead, which is just abysmal.
I thought he was desperate, and I think he should. If I was the manager, I'd take him apart. But why is he captain, for God's sake? I would have pulled him off the pitch. I would not allow a player to play like that and be your captain on a football pitch. I think that was awful.
I would. He is definitely he's a Richarlison, isn't he?
He is.
Like, I'm trying to think because you could compare it potentially to Suarez when Suarez played for Liverpool, and I obviously loved Suarez, but I can't believe if Fernandes played for Liverpool, I'd be happy with the stuff he does. Like, it's dreadful. It's rubbish.
Yeah. I wonder whether we saw, and I'm not going to put United down. I don't like them, blah blah blah. But they've been playing absolutely brilliant. They have been really good. What do you think Ten Hag does with what he's just seen? Because obviously, when they win, they win.
Mm.
When they go behind,
they get whacked.
What's wrong with that? What is it? What problem has he got? Because that to me doesn't say they can't do it. It says
they don't want to do it.
Up there, they can't do it, and you've got to change that. Because you're always going to go behind.
It's a difficult one to say. What can you do about it? Like, it is where you did your leaders on there. I would have thought, looking at United centre backs like Varane and Martinez, they're kind of big personalities who I would have thought would kind of rile up their team. I thought Fernandes would be that. As much as he was a dickhead, I would have thought he'd try and get his team to get started again. But apart from that, I mean, Casemiro as well. Like, the fact that Casemiro is on the pitch and he's kind of let that happen is incredible. Maybe there are still some United players out there who aren't up to it in terms of the mental battle, which is...
I think they've got problems in certain positions. On the score thing where they give the players individual marks, the funny thing is they've given Rashford the highest for United, 7.1. They've actually suggested he was better than Van Dijk.
Brilliant.
They've given Van Dijk a lower score. Don't get that. They've given Varane 4.7, and
sounds about right.
And De Gea they've given 3.1.
I mean, they do just do that if
because he let all the goals in. But I've got to mention this, and you look at that and you think, okay, what does Ten Hag do? Now, is this a problem that United are going to have while going through the four cups?
Mm.
On the bench, McTominay, Garnacho, is it Malacia, Sabitzer, and Elanga. That's on the bench. That's a
not a great bench.
I mean, the fact that you're losing, I don't know what, 3 or 4-0 and you bring McTominay on doesn't say you're going to win the game, does it really?
Mm.
They brought him on after 58 minutes. To do what? Win the game? Yeah. You know, I think that's a problem that United might have. They didn't bring on Sancho, though, I have to say. Wouldn't
Yeah,
it be a fair
after
choice?
after the little revival that Sancho supposedly had, it's a bit odd that they didn't play him at all.
Does he not like him?
Probably not. Probably not. But I can't believe he likes Fernandes.
No, see, that's what I don't understand. Okay, is there anything else you want to say? And we'll pack this up.
Well, just that when we come back next time and Liverpool have lost to Bournemouth, we'll be straight back to reality.
Yeah,
that is who we're playing next.
But that was a one-off, really, wasn't it?
It was.
I mean, it was a one-off. Anybody all those silly comments you get on TV. Well, United have got major problems. Last week they were brilliant, and you'd got superstar Rashford up front. Now he's the worst player in the country, And Liverpool had so many problems. Now they're the best team that exists. There's a load of crap in there. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens out of that. But the table is worth the last thing to really mention, and then we'll say goodbye. And the table now, Liverpool have gone above Newcastle. Admittedly, they've played one more game, but Liverpool have actually not done bad in the league, have they? The last time they lost was Wolves at the beginning of February.
Mm.
So they've beaten Everton, they've beaten Newcastle, they drew Crystal Palace, they've beaten Wolves and now beaten United.
Well, since the World Cup, we are fourth in terms of form behind Arsenal, City and United. So we are back in the running.
They do have a number of games, though, don't they? In 8 days, on the 1st of April, they got City, Chelsea, and Arsenal.
Yes, that'll be a big period. How we deal with that, I am very interested to see. You need a win out of that. You need one win at the very least.
Yeah,
and Chelsea is obviously the most likely, but a point against Arsenal.
The snag with the Chelsea one is that, well, City are at home, Chelsea are at home.
Mm.
See, that's the interesting bit. And before then, they've got Bournemouth.
Yes.
And then Real Madrid, which,
Oh, well.
Oh, well. You never know. Have that Arsenal mentality. We've seen Wycombe do it before. Arsenal have done it now twice.
But not 3 goals behind. Liverpool did against Barcelona a couple of years back. So
it is mentality, and I think that's what lost Manchester United the game. It wasn't that they were walked off the pitch by football. I think they were walked off the pitch by their mentality today, which affected their football.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair summing up. Do you?
Agreed, yeah.
And that Ten Hag has to sort out. It's all well and fine getting them to run around a football pitch, but if they don't have the right mentality, they will lose, even if they're a better team. And that's what managers usually fail on, isn't it?
Indeed.
Okay, we will be back next week. We'll be back next week with a number of different bits and pieces. Please join us. Sorry this hasn't been tons about Wycombe. We'll be next week. Just had tons of things to do this weekend. Sorry, everybody. Now I've reached my age. Things are a bit
so we've still got a half an hour program now with one
we have.
Stuff.
We have. Okay. Well, say goodbye, Kieran.
Bye-bye.
And I'll say goodbye. Goodbye.